Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Know the women in your environment. Now this is very important. Now I talked about your appearance and paying attention to how you're talking to women, understanding how these women want sex out here. But it's very important that you understand that you not just understand, but you know the type of women that you're dealing with, what type of women are in your environment. Because then it's a case of whether you should talk to them or whether you might need to move. I'll use myself for an example. Now y'all remember I used to have a modest apartment and everything. I had no problems talking about that. And then, moved over here. There's a monumental difference between the women in the area I'm in now and the women that were in the area where I used to live in. I found out later, which is one of the reasons I wanted to move, a lot of the women that were in the environment that I was in the apartment complex I was in, were Section 8. And I could tell that how they smoked, how they carried themselves, everything. Now, move over here, where I'm at now, is a lot of professional women. A lot of women got something going. In fact, I've yet to see a woman with a cigarette. Now, what does that do for me? Yeah, I can get along with like maybe lower class women, but that's not my speed. My speed is more educated type of women, more upper class type of women. That's my speed. Yeah, I know y'all see Uncle Rom in the car and stuff. It'd be like, no, that ain't you. It was like, dude, like I've said a million times, probably had to say it a million times more. Just the way I was brought up, how I came up, I can roll with different classes. Now, do I want to sleep with all of those classes? Hell to the no. Yeah, I could deal with a ratchet woman. I could deal with some ratchet woman, some trailer park woman, whatever, if I have to for business or something, even like lightly for a relationship, but that's not me. See, you want to know the women in your environment because you know yourself. You want to know who you can get along with. Because one of the things, like this week, I talked about general stuff, your general appearance, talking to women, understanding that women want sex. But then there's still differences with women depending on their social class, their religion, their racial background, their ethnic background, what part of the country they might be in, everything. If you want to be good at the game of man gets woman, you have to know what environment you're in. Even to the point you might have to know what you can talk about, what you can say. Like I talked about, pay attention to how you talk to women. Like if you in a more upper class area, yeah, you might could get a little bit deeper in the conversations. You might could talk about what's going on in the world or something. But then other neighborhoods, you might not be able to do that. If you in a poor neighborhood, they're more concerned about everyday survival. And if your conversation is talking about everyday survival, okay, that's good. But then if you with a more upper class, in a more upper class area, yeah, they talking about a little bit more. You still don't even need to lead those conversations with anything too deep until you find out whether they are. But one of the things is that you have to pay attention to, because even in different environments, they're going to dress differently. Like a woman in a more upper class environment, she still won't wear some nice clothes to draw attention to her and everything, but it might not be like some skin tight jeans or leggings or something like that. And her hair might not be as wild or crazy or whatever. You got to pay attention to all that little stuff. You got to pay attention to that. Indeed, a woman in a more upper class environment might be more in tune with working out. Hence body game again. You might have to work out a bit more just to draw her attention, because she's working out all the time and then going to a job. You have to pay attention to all of that little stuff. You have to pay attention to that. So you have to know it. You have to know it. Well, okay, what type of men are they going for? That's very important. That's very important. Like, you get a lot of guys talking about Pookie and Ray Ray and all of that. I always have issues with that, because I'm like, where are you at that you dealing with those type of women? Where are you at? Because where I live, I've yet to see a Pookie and a Ray Ray. Now, I saw some where I used to live, and that was regardless of race. Pookie, Ray Ray, Bubba, whatever, where I used to live. Okay, but I don't see that around here. So you have to pay attention. Pay attention. What type of men do they go for? You might be in an environment where women, you got to have a nice car. You can't be talking about, I don't have a car or anything like that. You have to have a nice car, nice ride, look nice. You might have to pay attention to your haircut, certain haircuts. You got to pay attention to that. What are the women around there going for? And here's something very important. You don't have to change up anything. You could just say, look, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to wear my hair, my clothes, everything. But then if you understand whatever you do is not going to get women in that area, one, you need to move. Maybe you need to hang out someplace else. Maybe you need to find like some social spots that are away from there. See, that's why you need to know. It was like, okay, can I get women around here? No. Okay, let me go over here, even if I'm living right here for the time being. You have to look at all of that. You have to know it. And especially if you in some areas where the women might be coming for you. But you got to know, okay, what type of, well, she ratchet. No, let me keep walking. Oh, well, no, she's out of shape. Let me keep walking. She's just not what I want. Let me keep walking. You have to know. You have to know. And you have to know, and just if you one of those people just say, well, you know what, I'm gonna get a woman in this area because it's near me and everything. Is she going to respond to you? Like, let me use that upper class neighborhood versus poor neighborhood thing. If you're in a poor neighborhood, you might have to wear your hair a certain way. You might have to have some tats, wear your clothes a certain way, everything. Now, if you want to do that, that's cool. But if you don't want to do that, that's cool too. But then if you're in the upper class area, you might need to look like it. You might not be able to wear like those locks or your hair all wild and everything. And if you have too many tats or you got tats on your face, the woman might be like, You know, I remember I met this young man who was from a real notoriously bad area in D.C. He was working up this way, but he had tats on his face and everything. And, you know, I could also tell by his speech intonation. It was like, he'll do so-so. It depends on where you talk to the women up here. You have to pay attention to all of that. You have to know the environment. Know the women in your environment. Sit back. If you move someplace new, sit back and chill. Check out the mall, shopping store, grocery stores, shopping malls, whatever, in that neighborhood. But pay attention. How are the women dressed and everything? Pay attention. So anyway, that's all I have for right now. Think about it, and I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.